right, we're back, and we are about 2 weeks away. August 19th is the big day from the initial acceptance of the Biden parole in place applications. This is an amazing opportunity for spouses of U.S. citizens to gain parole into the United States and hopefully adjust status through their U.S. citizen spouses. And we talked about this in prior podcasts, but we want to come back today, revisit it. We'll probably revisit it one more time before the program rolls out because we don't have all information just yet. The program has to be posted the regulation change update has to be posted for 60 days from June 17th, 2024. I believe that date will be over on the 17th, maybe the 18th. This is very important because it was one of the reasons that DACA was said to have failed because the Biden-Obama administration did not properly put the regulation in the Federal Register for notice and comment period. And so once that is done, and then we have the official regulation rollout, or I think it's a regulation. I'm old. I don't know what things are called anymore. But anyway, when the rule about the Biden parole in place is published, we will come back and tell you what the USCIS and the Biden administration analysis about it. But right now, we kind of want to go over what we've been hearing, what people are asking us. I think I've done 50 consultations in the past 3 weeks. We're talking to clients.
Yes, it was announced.
Yeah, and since we know it was coming, we've been talking to people that are in the waiver process that are currently with our office and new people, and we want to talk about what their concerns are, what we're telling them, and hope that it helps you.
Hola, buenas. Soy Zayra Ivette Padilla, la Chapina, y los saludo desde Chapilandia. Un gusto para mí platicar nuevamente con ustedes. Está Hadley la Gringa. Platicábamos sobre lo importante que es volver a platicar sobre el proceso de Biden Parole in Place, que es ese beneficio que el presidente Biden anunció y que ya solamente faltan como 2 semanas para cumplirse el día de comienzo de ese beneficio, que van a comenzar a aceptar esas solicitudes. Así que creemos que es muy importante volver a recalcar, hablar sobre los requisitos, qué se necesita, digamos que pudiera ocurrir. Platicamos un poco sobre en el tiempo de Obama, cuando él anunció sobre el proceso de DACA, cómo es que obviamente hubieron muchos, como quien dice, obstáculos para que realmente tomara efecto, pero estamos platicando sobre cómo es que esto va a llegar como al mes, que es el tiempo de, como quien dice, espera, o a donde el público puede expresarse sobre lo que piensa de ese nuevo beneficio. Así que obviamente es algo muy importante que recalcar, y por eso queremos volver a hablar un poco más sobre el tema.
Zayra, first tell everybody what these necklaces mean. You gave me one for my birthday. I'm a Leo.
Yes, so I gave Hadley a necklace from Our Lady, and because we're always very believers that God, it's always guiding us and put us together to be doing this work together. And so I felt that it was very important for me to share this necklace with her for her birthday. And I told her, Hadley, I'm gonna send you something that is gonna protect you and guide you all the time. And I can't wait for you to see it. So she finally got it because I ordered it. It was handmade in Italy, so it's from this small town in Italy. So it was very like meaningful for her to have it, and we didn't plan actually to wear it together today. So
Well,
so
that's
she
why I
can
thought we
wear
should
it.
point it out. So it wasn't like we had got a memo. It was that I got it as a gift. And, I'm not Catholic. I was actually raised Presbyterian, but Zayra, calls me an honorary Catholic.
Yes, for the last
So,
14 years she has been. So.
So, it's a proud badge of honor. Okay. The first question that people ask is what happens with the elections? How is that going to affect my case? And I'm getting that question not only with the Biden PIP, but with everything. Everybody that I'm talking to wants to know how is the outcome of the election going to affect them. And during the time that we got the announcement that Biden PIP was going to start August 19th, we had this incredible moment where Biden stepped down, which was an incredibly gracious and heroic act, in my opinion. It was an act of selflessness, but, I've heard it spun many ways. But, I think that what he did was the right thing for himself and for the country. And then Kamala Harris stepped in, was, tapped on the shoulder, and this incredible momentum, like we haven't seen, I don't think, in my lifetime, of people, just the outpouring of support. And so I'm not worried as much. We were worried, there was that assassin. Yeah. Trump was the victim of an assassination attempt, which was horrible. Nobody should have to go through that, and the fear and the terror of that kind of a moment. But it did put him in this hero status, and then he went to the Republican National Convention, and it, fired everybody up, and then we were thinking, okay, we're going to get through it, God will still be there with whatever happens at the election. We just have to have faith, and that's how we, get through hard times. But then what happened with Kamala kind of changed everything, and she was the child of immigrants. And then last week we had a press conference where Trump went to a convention for black journalists, very educated, informed people, and he made these just dumb comments about Kamala being Indian and now she's black, and most of our clientele are mixed race. You do 23andMe in here and you're going to hit every corner of the planet.
Exactly.
So
she turned black.
Yes. And so things are just looking better. We don't want people to be afraid of what's going to happen. Just have faith, and hopefully we'll get more and more types of relief. But the Biden PIP so far has remained safe from any type of challenge. I have my own theories about it. I think it's because, if anti-immigrant people want to attack the parole rights, then they're not going to be able to just selectively attack the Biden parole in place. There will be many other types of people affected by it, one being the military. And the military parole in place is actually an incentive for people to join the military. And we've mentioned this, that we've had the military parole in place for 11 years now, I think, where we've been able to get the same thing for spouses and parents of people who join the military. And I think it's a very effective recruiting tool. And so if you take away the presidential power of parole, you take it away from the military too. That's one of my theories. Of several, but that's the one I feel okay about sharing.
Yeah, because that one of some documentaries that were televising Netflix, they mentioned about parole in place, military parole in place, and a
Which
lot of
one?
obviously military parole in place. So a lot
I
of
know, but which documentary?
I think it was called Immigrants or something like that. I think I talked to you about it like when I watch it, but it was very interesting, which I would do it too. If my parents would be in that situation. A lot of the girls who were interviewed, they were like, "Why are you here?" To help my parents. All of them pretty much answer that. So I think it's something that you're willing. I mean, you obviously wanna serve your country, but then there's this big important motive that is to help your parents that sacrificed everything for you to be in this country, and to be able to have opportunities and these different type of opportunities that there's no way in your country you would be able to have. So I think that's very important to mention, because not only is like people who are, yes, I want to serve my country and I want to do this, and but also one very important motive for them to join is for them to be able to help their parents. I've been here for like 20-30 years, and then I haven't been able to do that.
Yeah, the way the parole works, the parent, and we'll talk about from the military perspective first.
Mhm.
The military enrollee or somebody who's been through boot camp gets an official badge that they're officially inaugurated into the military. I'm probably getting all the terms wrong, but I don't have anybody in the military. I have my, my World War II veteran grandfather. We were talking about that, Zayra. We're proud of our grandparents that were in World War II and vets, but our grandchildren are going to be proud of us for being in this immigration war.
Immigration world, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, the military, enrolled in the military individual will provide proof to their parent or their spouse to provide to the government, the federal government. So they're not breaking any rules, but they provide that copy or proof that they're in the military or honorably discharged. And then they write a letter that explains the importance of their parent or their spouse in their life to their mental well-being that helps them to serve. And so we provide that and proof that the parent is the parent or the spouse is the spouse to the local field office. And our local field office in Riverside is San Bernardino. But we also have used Los Angeles because of our clients who live in LA and Orange County, Santa Ana, and I think maybe we've done one in Fresno. And the officer that's assigned to parole in place will review the application, make sure that the individual has provided all the documents, the evidentiary, the support, met the burden of proof, and then he'll call in the parent or the spouse to the field office, and when they walk in, he'll inspect their ID and declare them lawfully admitted to the United States and paroled in for, with military parole in place, they've been doing it 8 months to a year. And then because the parent or the spouse has an illegal entry, then their immediate relative child over 21, and sometimes with the military they're not yet 21, so we have to wait.
They're 18, 19.
Yeah. But during that time, they have a deferred action where they can continue to renew their parole in place and get deferred action, get work authorization, and file what can be filed until the child turns 21. So once the I-130 is filed, the adjustment is filed, and the parent or the spouse adjusts status inside the U.S. They do not have to leave the country. They do not need to file any unlawful presence waiver because it's automatically waived under Section 245A of the Immigration and Nationality Act. So, that's my point. I don't think they're going to attack, meaning anti-immigrant groups, lawyers, that machine that's anti-immigrant comes up with these legal attacks because they don't want to take away the military parole in place. Because Biden has simply expanded military parole in place to spouses of U.S. citizens, and they're no longer required to be in the military. The requirement here is a 10-year physical presence.
Because we still hear a lot the story of like, can my child petition me? Am I able to, adjust status in this country? Even after, so many years of, explaining this, the difference between entering the country with inspection and without inspection. And that's going to be a key point for, me as a parent to be able to get a status through my child. And so a lot of parents come to us and say, okay, yeah, so my child is turning 21. Am I going to be able to adjust status? Can he petition me? Can he give me the status? And we're like, well, that's the difference.
It depends.
It depends. And they're like, no, but there's this law that my child can petition me. And we're like, yes, they can petition you. The petition is going to get approved. But the difference would be if you enter without inspection, then you need a waiver for your lawful presence, and you need a qualified relative to be able to petition that waiver, which that's why they get confused of what, so he can't petition me anymore. Yes, he can petition you, but you cannot proceed to step 2 or 3. So, that's something that a lot of notarios do. They're like, yeah, your child can petition you. And they paid the notario, and the obviously the I-130 gets approved and everything, but they don't tell you, but you're not going to be able to proceed to the second and third step because they don't know the laws, or they just want to, get some profit from this person that it's not very up to date with this information. And sadly, like, we have so many cases like that they're like, I have an approved I-130, but what can I do with it? And we're like, at this point, it's only
some of them let them go to the interview, Zayra.
Yeah. Oh my God, Hadley, I haven't even told you about this case.
What
I did
happened?
this pre-screening with this lady who had been here for 30 years, and their child did their process on their own for her. She went out to Juarez on July 20-something last month, and she was denied, and she was asked to ask for a waiver. She's like, they told me I could get a waiver. I'm like, they tell you that you're eligible for a lawful presence waiver, but they don't know your life. They don't know that you don't have a qualifying relative. So this lady who spent 30 plus years in the U.S. was self-removed to Mexico, and her children did everything. And I'm like, why didn't you ask? And she's like, yeah, I was so stupid how I just left and I was denied. And I'm just like, here after 30 something years in Mexico, not knowing like what to do or what I'm gonna do. And I was just like I wanted to cry. And and we have heard many stories like this, that their children say, oh, we can complete these forms, let's do this, let's do that, and then they make their parents go out because they don't know the law. They don't know that she needs a waiver and she cannot request a waiver. And I told her, I'm so sorry, but you're gonna stay there. You're gonna have to stay there physically for 10 years to be able to come back to the U.S. And she was just like silent. Like, she's like, I was like, we have this saying in Spanish that el hubiera no existe, like the what if, it doesn't exist because it happened. You can't turn back. And I told her, like, the what if doesn't, doesn't exist anymore for you. But I mean, I wish you could have called me before you made that decision of going out to the interview in Juarez. I would have told you, don't go out, because you cannot come back unless you're planning to stay there for 10 years. Then, because we have had clients that say, yeah, I'm willing to go back to Mexico, to my home country, which is very rare, but we have had a few, and stay there for 10 years and come back. I'm okay with that. And we're like, okay, that's fine. But this lady did not know what she was doing, obviously. Her children didn't know what she was doing. And I still have to call the son and say, you pretty much did all this process for your mom and she self-deported. I'm sure he's going to be like heartbroken. Because all
Well, he's not going to believe us.
No. And
he's going to have to hear it 4 more times.
Yeah, and I told her, I mean, you can probably find somebody who's gonna say, yeah, we can ask for the waiver, but you're just gonna give the money to USCIS. Here is $1,400. You can have it, because they're just gonna take it but not give you anything. They're just gonna deny.
Yeah, they're gonna deny it. Yeah.
It was so sad. I feel so bad for this lady. Like, you can hear, like, on her voice, how she was just in disbelief that she went out without asking for legal advice, for a professional legal advice, and she's now in Mexico.
How old is she?
She sounded like she's in her late 50s, early 60s, something like that.
You know me, I'm like, okay, please, I'll go.
I know.
I'll stay in Mexico for 10 years.
I know.
But I know it's not the same. I recognize that I have means and I can live a nice life down there. And, that's not the case. Not everybody can do that. Mm-hmm. I love Mexico. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, can you tell our Spanish-speaking community about what we just discussed, because it's so important to spread the message?
Es muy importante que se informen. Es como estábamos platicando sobre el proceso del Parole in Place, que es el permiso que otorgó Obama en aquel entonces para las personas que están en el servicio militar, que todavía existe y está disponible. Ahorita el presidente Biden lo que hizo es que extendió esa opción para las personas que están casados con ciudadanos que no estén en el servicio militar. Entonces eso lo hace sumamente más rápido y más, digamos, fácil, entre comillas, lo quiero decir de esa forma, porque obviamente todos estos procesos son sumamente complejos y necesitan ayuda profesional, así que es muy importante que ustedes se guíen por alguien que sepa lo que está haciendo. Entonces estábamos hablando cómo es que este beneficio lo otorgaron hace más de 10 años, 12 años, y mucha gente se ha beneficiado, como quien dice, por ejemplo, si mi hijo está en el servicio militar y yo no tengo estatus migratorio, yo puedo pedir ese parole in place y me van a dar una entrada legal al país, que significa que como que yo entrara con visa. Pero obviamente al principio yo no entré con visa, pero este proceso me permite, como quien dice, entrar con permiso, como si hubiese entrado con visa. Entonces, por esa razón yo puedo hacer un ajuste migratorio entre Estados Unidos sin tener que pedir perdón, sin tener que ir a la embajada de Estados Unidos a mi país natal, ni nada por el estilo. Todo se hace adentro de Estados Unidos y se hace un ajuste migratorio que solamente se puede hacer adentro de Estados Unidos, en vez de que usted vaya y haga un proceso consular, pida un perdón, etcétera, y salga a su entrevista a su país natal. Entonces es muy importante recalcar eso, de que muchísimas personas, estábamos hablando sobre un documental que salió en Netflix, que hablaban de dos inmigrantes en este país y sobre todo lo que ellos hacen y aportan, e hicieron entrevistas a personas que apenas estaban entrando al servicio militar y les preguntaron por qué razón lo hicieron, y la mayoría que entrevistaron decían que porque querían ayudar a sus papás. Entonces yo le digo a Hadley, yo si hubiera estado en esa situación, de que yo sé que mis papás se pueden beneficiar de este proceso al yo hacer ese sacrificio, obviamente, de servir a mi país, obviamente es un como orgullo de servir a tu país, pero también mi motivo más importante es ayudar a mis papás. Entonces eso es tan importante recalcar que eso está disponible. E igualmente, por favor, busquen ayuda profesional, no vayan con notarios, porque le estaba platicando a Hadley sobre esta historia de esta señora que me dio un pesar grandísimo, de que ella, sus hijos hicieron todo el proceso, llenaron todas sus solicitudes, y ella fue a la entrevista a Juárez sin consultar con alguien profesional, La señora tenía más de 30 años en este país, hace que ella se deportó, autodeportó, que se le llaman, que como quien dice, yo me salgo sin que me saquen, por decir. Entonces la pobre señora está ahora en México sin poder regresar. ¿Por qué? Porque ella no, solamente sus hijos llenaron la solicitud, hicieron todo el proceso y dijeron, mamá, ya podés ir a Juárez a la entrevista, y la señora se lo negaron y le dijeron, necesita pedir un perdón. Pero el oficial consular no sabe que, que cada individuo no le aplican ciertas cosas o no. Obviamente ellos solo le dicen, puede pedir este perdón y puede regresar. Ellos no saben la vida de cada persona. Entonces esta señora no tiene un esposo ciudadano residente o no tiene padres ciudadanos o residentes. Entonces ella tiene que estar físicamente en México por los siguientes 10 años para poder regresar, para no necesitar ese perdón. Y pues yo sentí el silencio, la angustia de esta señora al yo decirle, ¿por qué no preguntó antes de salir? Y me dice, ahora me siento tan mal de no haber preguntado en vez de salir del país sin saber y pensar que iba a regresar después de estar 30 y tantos años en Estados Unidos. Así que por favor, busquen ayuda profesional, vayan con alguien que sepa lo que está haciendo, un abogado de inmigración profesional con experiencia. No vayan con notarios, y si sus hijos le están ayudando y están llenando estas formas por usted, por favor, pregunte a un profesional. Qué bueno que ellos lo pueden llenar, pero como dicen, en los detalles o en la información o en las leyes es lo que cuenta y es lo importante. Así que ellos pueden llenarle toda la solicitud, pero no saben las leyes, así que ellos no saben que usted necesita un perdón, usted necesita esto, lo otro. Entonces, por favor, pregunte.
So, okay, well, we're getting ready now to roll out the Biden parole in place. We've been doing these parole in places. I don't know what the plural is. Anyway, we've been doing it for 13 years, and we know what we're doing. And we noticed that the markup is, like, in our legal community, like, way over the top. Like, we've heard that some people are charging $5,000 for parole in place. We've done this. We know what the work is involved. We're charging around $2,000 to $2,500, depending on the factors involved. Because, you know, it's simple. This is not our first rodeo. We know how to do this. So that's what we think the market should be at for a parole in place, because you still have two more processes, the I-130 and the adjustment of status. And just to focus on what the parole in place is, it's an inspection by a USCIS officer inside the country, in your hometown, where they look at your ID and they declare, okay, you are legally admitted as an arriving alien, you have a legal entry, you're here for 3 years legally, you can get work authorization, and if you're married to a U.S. citizen, which that's obviously not an if, but because you're married to a U.S. citizen, you're probably going to be able to adjust status into a green card. And what I'm telling people is, if you go by the current processing time, I don't know if we can count on that because of the volume of people who are going to apply. We're talking about 4 to 6 months to get your parole in place document and start the application for work authorization. And then once you file the I-130 and the I-485, a lot of people already have I-130s approved. We're looking at the green card by around August to October of 2025, because that's a 6 to 10 month approval time. So people who start now should have green cards in 2025. And so people who are in the waiver process, who started recently, are looking at getting, their interview in Juarez in 2029. So it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's a 5-year wait for Juarez. So the whole process for Biden parole in place is a 1 year, maybe a year and a half, but definitely not longer than that, I don't think. We'll see about how the volume goes and how the USCIS handles the volume.
Yeah, I pre-screened these gentlemen who whose spouse has been waiting for her interview in Juarez for 3 years, but she's been doing it with a notario.
Ugh.
3 years. I'm like, he's like, yeah, we know that there's something wrong. I'm like, yeah, very wrong because it's a year now. But what it sounds 3 years back, I mean, you're not. I mean, pandemic happened. Yes, they say like, sorry, we're only dealing with emergencies, but that doesn't mean you're just sit around and do nothing until like they, ask you for your stuff. No, I mean, the attorneys do inquiries. Say like, okay, we've been waiting. We understand this has been delayed, but what's going on with my interview? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me schedule or whatever. But these notarios, they don't know that. They're just like, man.
Well, I mean, Zayra, I don't think notarios can be involved in parole in place. I mean, you know that they can download a form and mail it to an address,
Yeah.
but in parole in place, an officer will only call the applicant or the applicant's attorney. They're not going to call a notario to say, oh, that person who paid you to fill out a form, which I'm not legally allowed to do, please bring them in. And on November 6th at 10 a.m. No, that's not how it works. The officer must see a G28 from an attorney who has a license or a BIA accredited representative. G28s can only be signed by a very narrow group of people who are licensed or regulated, so they don't ruin your case. The licensing and the regulations require us to be educated constantly to know what we're doing.
Exactly.
But anyway, my point is, I don't think the USCIS will deal with. Well, they won't. They won't deal with notarios. So don't fall with the notario. Your case is going to get messed up. Just don't. It's stupid.
Yeah. Es tan importante como le vuelvo a repetir, buscar ayuda profesional. Por favor, no vayan con notarios. Ellos no son abogados, son criminales porque practican la ley ilegalmente. Así que incluso en este proceso específico que sería el parole in place, ellos solamente aceptan personas que envíen la G28, que es la forma que indica quién es mi representante legal, y en esa forma solo pueden firmar abogados o personas que están acreditados bajo la Agencia de Apelaciones de Inmigración, BIA por sus siglas en inglés. Entonces es muy importante que ustedes entiendan eso, que los notarios no deberían hacer estos procesos. Probablemente lo van a hacer, pero inmigración no va a aceptar ese tipo de casos, que ustedes van a perder su tiempo y su dinero, porque estas personas básicamente van a incluso arruinar su caso, o ustedes no van a recibir ninguna respuesta porque ellos no son abogados e inmigración no les va a enviar nada. Entonces, por ejemplo, el parole in place le van a mandar una cita donde dice, por favor, preséntese a recibir este documento. Entonces ahí van a ver si usted tiene un abogado, le enviamos el aviso. No le van a enviar a un notario ese aviso, sino a usted y a un abogado, y usted se va a presentar a su cita para recibir esa entrada legal al país, o permiso que se le llama por medio del parole in place. Así que por favor, infórmense, no vayan con notarios, lo barato sale caro. Por favor, busquen profesionales.
And I'll just close out again so that maybe Fernando can put, here, the requirements. Number 1, be married to a U.S. citizen as of June 17th, 2024. Number 2, show physical presence in the United States since June 17th, 2014. Number 3, not be on the enforcement priorities list. That means for having severe criminal activity or removal orders, which we're not sure how those are going to work. We'll know with the guidance. But anyway, number 3 is not to be an enforcement priority. If you meet those 3 criteria, then you are eligible for parole in place. And the reason why parole in place is important is because it gives you a legal entry so you can adjust status inside the United States. And I know, Zayra, you saw in the chats that people were saying, we don't understand why this is a big deal. We can already do this.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
not everybody has a legal entry, honey.
Mm.
Not everybody has a legal entry. Most people don't.
Mm.
So this changes that fact, and the facts matter in
Mhm.
immigration law anyway. Don't know if they matter in the
Yes.
political world, but
Yeah. Que usted no sea una prioridad para inmigración, por ejemplo, que usted tiene crímenes violentos, que tenga vamos a ver cómo funcionan lo de las deportaciones o órdenes de deportaciones que tienen las personas, no estamos muy seguros todavía, pero como lo vuelvo a repetir, es muy importante que tomen eso en cuenta, porque mucha gente se toma la libertad de comentar en las redes sociales de que, ay, ¿cuál es la gran bulla de este proceso? Si de todas maneras yo soy ciudadana y yo le pude arreglar a mi marido o lo que sea. No, la diferencia es de que no todas y casi la mayoría de personas entraron al país sin permiso. Así que significa que necesitan pedir un perdón y tienen que salir a su país natal. Por medio de Parole in Place, usted ya no va a tener que salir del país. Usted va a poder hacer su ajuste migratorio adentro de Estados Unidos. Esa es la gran diferencia.
and my name is Hadley, and stay tuned as we bring you updates. So stay informed and stay in touch, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Ciao.